everyone, and welcome to our YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy at TV. In case you're not a subscriber yet, please do subscribe. Just press the subscribe button as well as turn on the notification bell so that you can get notifications when we upload our videos. Don't also forget to subscribe and join, follow, like our other social media platforms. Of course, you're seeing it right about now. Don't also forget to share this video across your platforms. Enjoy the video. Dr. Bamidele Ayemibo, lead consultant, Treaty Impex Consulting, is joining me right now. We're looking at the topic from raw to refined, making Nigeria's exports work for the economy. What is actually making, why are we not making exports work in the economy? Is Dr. Ayemibo there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, Dr. Ayemibo, the first question to you is, we know that Nigeria has been exporting raw materials for decades now. In your view, what do you think has fundamentally constrained our ability to industrialize through trade? Dr. Ayemibo, please, can I see him?
Yeah. Yes, I can see you. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you now.
Okay. The
Long
question
time
is,
no see,
what
though.
Eh?
I say long time no see.
Yes, good to see you again.
Yes. So go ahead.
Okay, yes. What has constrained us from industrializing? What was the question again, please?
Yes, what has constrained us from industrializing through trade? Fundamental constraints, yes.
I think that the government is not doing enough, and I will show you an example of that. We are in a situation where we need a lot of exports to go out, and we are growing. NEPC must be commended. I mean, we are seeing some traction, but NEPC can do a lot better than they are doing, but I'm aware they are constrained with funding. So do you know today that Nexim Bank cannot give more than 5 billion to anybody? 5 billion. They were at an event recently, and someone on the panel was confronting them. Look, why would you say this is the maximum you can give? And it's not the fault of Nexim, because they also have limitation on the capital available, number one. Number two, their board has not been constituted, as at my last check. And that restricts how much they can give out in terms of loan. Because, so if you need 1 billion, 2 billion, you need the board approval. I understand the MD is creatively working with the minister to see how they can get a final approval for this. Nigeria today needs to grow its non-oil export, but the support structure that will help are not in place. The institution that is supposed to drive that process are not well funded. So that's why I said I believe the government is not doing enough. Some effort is being made. It's not like nothing is being done. But I believe, when the president is making big speech and every time you are hearing export, non-oil export, we call it body language in Nigeria. That kind of body language, I'm not sure we're getting it enough to be able to get the lieutenant to really drive this process in a way that can help the economy to generate the forex required, particularly from value addition, like your topic said, from raw to finished product.
Yeah. So let's take a look at another angle concerning this conversation around the Nigeria First policy, which the presidency just announced. And I'm assuming that what is in the mind of the president is to promote made in Nigeria, buy Nigeria, made in Nigeria, everything Nigeria. That sounds promising, definitely. But do you think that it comes with enforceable mechanisms beyond just talk, or are we perhaps even merely renaming an old ambition? What are you seeing enforceable mechanisms around that to be able to promote that? Because that talking about raw to refined, that is a very good policy, but perhaps on paper.
The challenge of Nigeria is not always policy or laws being in place. Many people will agree that the challenge we have as a nation is implementation and enforcement, like you said. Implementation and enforcement. You also remember recently the Senate passed a bill. I don't know if House of Rep has passed that bill, even though there are a lot of issues against that bill. Maybe we'll talk about it in the course of this conversation. But they passed a bill that 30% value addition must be added to any raw material leaving the country.
Yeah.
Any raw material leaving the country, which on the surface appear commendable, but had a lot of issues around it. Now, Nigerian force is very good, but what are the support structure to help Nigerian force? If someone is bringing in foreign goods that is cheaper than Nigeria, even after paying duty, people are going to buy that foreign good. You know, there was a time, I think it was one of the multinational in Nigeria that said that year, corn in Nigeria was 120,000 per metric ton, but they imported into Nigeria landed cost about 40, 50,000. Landed cost with duty about 40, 50,000. But importing was about 110, 120. Sorry, landed cost about 40, 50,000. But importing it, sorry, landed cost 140, 50,000. But producing locally was about 120,000. Those are the issues that we need to look at. That I know recently we had the announcement of recapitalization of Bank of Agriculture, which is very commendable, extremely commendable in my opinion, because Bank of Agriculture have been moribund for many years, which is going into territory where they are not supposed to be. But the question is, what are we now doing now that we capitalize? Because the idea is to increase production and drive down the cost. Because one of the reasons also why we have issues, for example, ginger is having issue in export from Nigeria because the cost of production is so high because there was an issue with the farming season in which there was pest that destroyed the crop, reducing the amount of raw material, amount of seedling for the next season, and that has made the price to be outrageous.
Very outrageous. I tried to buy ginger the other day, just a small plate. I was sold 10,000 naira.
Now, those are the issues. Now, do you know what the government could have done is immediately that thing happened, subsidize the procurement of seedlings immediately, because we don't have enough seedlings in the country. So people now have to spend more because they pay more for seedling. The cost of the product went up. We are not even competitive in the international market again. Those are the issues I think we need to look at. So if I'm going to say Nigerian force, what are the structure in place to be able to ensure the people producing are getting raw material at a cheap rate, enough to make them competitive in even locally compared to the imported goods?
So what are the top three administrative reforms that perhaps we should embark on right now to boost value added exports? And you talked about earlier on the 30% value addition, of course, being mulled around the National Assembly. What do you think that we should do regarding that?
Number one, we need to boost production.
How do we boost production when there's insecurity?
Increase funding to our big sector.
Okay.
Support NISA. NISA is supposed to reduce risk, but NISA also don't have enough funds to reduce the risk. So support NISA with funding to take more risk, support banks for banks to take more risk to increase the production. Support, we already have funding going to BOA ensuring that farmers are able to get that, not political farmers, not portfolio farmers. The real farmer on ground have access to the fund and they are able to produce. You know, let me paint a picture. Okay, I'll come back to this on what this can do to be able to help us in forex. Number one, increase production. Number two, provide single-digit loans. Single-digit loans. Single-digit loans. Nexim can do that. Nexim can do that to be able to add value. To be able to add value. But Nexim do not have enough funding. So Nexim need more funding. If we are giving 1 trillion to POA, why can't we give 500 to POA and 500 to Nexim? Or even 250 billion to Nexim? Nexim need funding. I'm not sure if the president is aware of this. Nexim need funding.
They should be aware of it, because I think CBN is a large shareholder of Nexim too, if I'm not mistaken.
With the kind of funding required, with the kind of demand for forex, shouldn't we be pumping money into institutions that will be able to fund export at a larger volume, at a single digit, to be able to make them profitable and be able to drive in the forest and reduce the cost of production? So we need to increase production. We need to increase production of raw materials. We need to increase volume. Increase the cost, reduce cost of production by supporting Nexim to have single-digit loan. And number three, and in doing that, we need to constitute the board of Nexim. The fact that the board is not constituted is a major challenge that is hindering the operations to be able to dispose large volume transactions. And number three, we need export credit insurance. Export credit insurance. If we are going to increase the volume of export, to drive in forex, to increase the value of naira, make the cost of living drastically reduced because of exchange rate now coming down because of influx of forex, we need to get exporters to take more risk and go into more territory. Immediately, US, even before US announced the Liberation Day announcement that spread tariff, dish out tariff to different countries of the world, China did two things. Number one, they told the provinces to provide single-digit loan to manufacturers to produce more. Number two, to give them export credit insurance to go to new market. So if they have issues in the new market, government protect them with the export credit insurance. So they can take more risk, get into new market, conquer new market, and reduce their dependence on America. So we need export credit insurance. We need to reduce interest rates through the export credit agency like Nexim. We need to increase production, and how do we increase production? By supporting BOA to be able to increase the farming, the volume of production of commodities to be exported.
So how do we reimagine our export institutions? You've talked about Nexim, you've talked about BOA. There are also other export institutions along the value chain. You talk about NEPC too, but there is customs, there is NAFDAC, there is SON, the ports also within that, you know, export and trade corridor. How do we reimagine our institutions? Do you think that these institutions right now are equipped for today's trade that is gone continental, the African Continental Free Trade Area, today's trade that is actually global markets focused? Because global markets really reward specialization and scale. With President Trump, one day one drama for President Trump, one day one tariff, there's drama around the White House. How should we now reimagine our institutions, especially these ones that I've mentioned?
Number one, NEPC needs to increase the number of exporters in Nigeria. I'll come back to that because the exporters right now, NEPC confirmed that we have over 20,000 registered exporters, but every year less than 1,500 exports. If you add both the official and non-official, I mean the people that do the informal trade, maybe about 1,500. Now, what that means is that the big exporters have reached their limit. So if they are doing $5 million in a year, or $100 million in a year, or $20 million in a year, that is how much they can do in a year. But if we can get more businesses in, we can increase the number of exporters. US have over 300,000, UK have over 150,000, South Africa have over 10,000, Nigeria have less than 2,000, less than 1,500 exporters. So we need to increase the number of exporters. Number two, we need to support local shipping. There must be a deliberate initiative by the Minister of Blue Economy to support local shipping. So the local shipping line to be able to buy ships that will traverse West and Central Africa. This is the challenge of AFCFTA. AFCFTA have fixed one of the major challenges, which is payment with Pan-African payment and settlement system. The other issue has not been filled, which is the movement of goods. Recently, I've forgotten the name of the shipping line, a local firm who announced that they've acquired a vessel that will enable them to move goods within Africa. That they said they have just about 400 capacity. Sorry, 350, 349 TEUs capacity. But you know this company have over 1,000 bookings. Because before, we would be thinking that maybe because there's no enough market. Of course, for the big shipping line that have container carrying, a vessel carrying over 10,000 container might have issues because they might not meet the demand. But for small vessels, 1,000, 2,000 shipping vessel within traversing West and Central Africa is the way to go. If we do that, we are going to increase trade within Africa, and we're going to leverage the opportunity presented by the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. So a deliberate effort to support within that area, in terms of port activity, I must confess, I'm an exporter. The port activity has improved. Delay at the port. Apapa is a ghost town right now. Apapa is a ghost town. The system is done in such a way that you really will see those trucks blocking the road, preventing movement. So in terms of logistics at the port, I think that issue has been fixed. I think the real issue is to now drive the volume to be able to ship more. So we reduce the number of vessels leaving Nigeria with empty containers. Empty containers. Because we're not doing enough exports from Nigeria.
So do you think that Nigerian exporters are really prepared for the continental market, which is after? Because from what you're saying right now, that we are having little internal inefficiencies. Is that what you're saying as an exporter too? Are you prepared as an exporter and are other exporters, local producers, prepared for that continental market? And let me also put this in, because many SMEs are locked out of the export economy. What do you think would empower local producers to participate in regional as well as global trade supply chains?
For SMEs, NEPC must be deliberate about getting them export ready. Let me define export readiness so you understand what I'm trying to say. Export readiness is a multifaceted concept that involves the ability of a company to successfully enter the export market, sustainably compete in the market, and significantly grow its market share until it becomes established in the market. So it's not enough to enter and do 1 or 2 shipments, but you're not able to do shipment again for another 5 years because of the challenges you face. The reason why SME will not be able to play well under AFCFTA if you don't fit the challenge of export readiness is because of the fact that many of them are not export ready, some because of capacity, some because of funding, some because of skill required to be able to drive the process. Some will tell you that their major challenge is finding buyers. And that finding buyer is a challenge of lack of export readiness. Because when they understand exactly what it means to be export ready, they know all the options available to find buyer and what they need to do to ensure they don't fall into the hands of fraudsters in the export market. So getting them export ready then becomes very, very, very important. If we're going to be able to maximize African Continental Free Trade Agreement, we must focus on fast-moving consumer goods. So government must be deliberate about supporting businesses for fast-moving consumer goods. And I'll tell you why. African countries largely are lower middle and low income economy, meaning most people in that economy are surviving, barely surviving, very low disposable income. So what they are buying are things they need for survival: food items, personal care products, drugs, cosmetics, things they need for daily survival are what we thrive under AFCFTA. So that means we need to support businesses producing these products and supporting them to be able to deliver this product. Recently, the minister announced, which was commendable, it was something that people have talked about severally, the fact that shipping to African countries is expensive. And now there is an agreement, I think supported by UNDP or thereabout, with Uganda Air to be able to ship by air and subsidize. Commendable. Those are the things we want to see, and kudos to the minister and all the people that are involved in making that happen. Those are the things we want to see so that the government can demonstrate and show that, look, even though there's a high cost of moving the goods, we will support you to deliver it to the destination so that we can have more businesses under the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. So that initiative we expect to see. It has started, but we can't do a lot with air shipment, in as much as that is commendable. We can do a lot more with with sea shipment, which take over about 90% of trade in the world. So global trade is about $33 trillion. About $9 trillion on trade in services. And I know the minister has been talking a lot about trade in services, which is
especially
good.
digital
I've
services.
heard a lot talk about trade in goods, which is about $24 trillion. There was a news recently that our exports to the US are declined by over $500 million, which was largely oil, of course, because of the product we shipped to the US, because of the Liberation Day announcement and the tariff issue. That is a testament to the fact that we need to begin to look for new markets. And for example, I was talking about agri-commodity the other time. Look at this analogy, Nancy. Soya beans is one of the products Nigeria is exporting right now, but we're not very competitive because we need improved variety. Soya beans demand is more than cocoa beans, more than ginger, gum arabic, cashew, sesame. Put them together, total, they are not up to $30 billion. Soya beans demand is about $100 billion. And the reason why soya beans demand is growing is because soya beans is becoming a raw material for biodegradable plastic, biodegradable rubber, biodegradable tire. It's going to replace a lot of hydrocarbon. The demand, about 60% of that demand is from China. Nigeria have a relationship with China. They come here to build bridges, build rail, build this, build that. Why can't we have an agreement that also says, give us about 5%, 10% of that market? Let BOA fund farmers to produce soybean massively and ship to China and generate foreign exchange. It doesn't appear this is a rocket science. Those are the kind of conversation I think we should be having to grow our non-export, particularly generating foreign to drive down the rate of exchange of Naira.
So as we close, what would be your final thoughts? Because I'm taking a look at even what is being done continent-wide. The PAPS card, for example, which you alluded to earlier on. If you had the ears of the Federal Executive Council, perhaps for 1 minute, what would you tell them?
We need to encourage exporters in Nigeria.
How should we go about that? What kind of model?
I'm saying that now.
Yes.
I'm saying that now. The export expansion grant, which is the
EEG.
only surviving incentive to drive down the cost of export, is not always in the budget. They have to fight and fight and fight, and we keep having a lot of backlog. How do you encourage your businesses to increase the export volume if their cost of doing business is high because there's no power, the roads are not good, and they have high cost of doing business because of exchange rate? But the only incentive that can help them drive down costs and make them competitive is being delayed by the government. We need to bring back all the incentive required to grow non-export.
Okay.
If there are incentives, more people will be interested and coming to be able to drive the business because they know government is supporting them.
Dr. Bamidele, I wish we had more time, because I also wanted to take a look at, perhaps if we'll take a look at something around processing premium initiative, because it's not even only about exporting the raw goods. The kind of incentives that will be given to those that want to process here, perhaps like tax breaks.
The incentive should be towards people adding value.
Exactly, you know, logistical priority, FX incentives and all of that. But perhaps we'll discuss that on another day. Thank you very much.
All right.
For shedding
Thank you
light.
very much for having me.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, I've been speaking with Dr. Bamidele Ayemibo. He is the lead consultant at 3T Impex Consulting, and we've been looking at from raw to refined, making Nigeria's exports work for the larger economy. So from inflation to exports. God bless Nigeria. You know, what more can I say? Anyway, that's the much we can take on today's edition of the program. Thank you all for joining us as always. Be the best you can be, and be the change that you want to see. I am Nancy Naji. Stay tuned. Thank you for making it up to this minute watching the video. Thank you all. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy TV. Like, follow all our other social media platforms where we keep you up to speed with fantastic interviews, as well as markets, personal finance, business, and economy information. This is the best place to be. I'll see you all again in the next video.